Lesson 1, Question 8. Compute each of the following. So we have three things that we're going to be typing into the calculator. If you want to pause the video and write these down, you can. But we're going to go over to the calculator screen for a minute. So starting with part A, we have this fraction, 52.2 minus 48.6, all over 1.56. So in order to put more than one term in the numerator, I'm going to start with parentheses, then I'm going to type in 52.2, and then minus 48.6, and then I'm going to close the parentheses. So that tells the calculator we want all of that calculated for just the numerator. Then I'm going to hit the divide key for the fraction bar, and then the number 1.56. So we want to make sure that when we type things into the calculator, that we make sure that the calculator will follow order of operations for what's printed on our page. And this will allow it to follow the order of operations for everything in the numerator divided by the number in the denominator. And then I'll hit enter. And there's my answer, 2.30769238. You can type all of that into the answer. It should accept it as correct. Or you can round it to three significant digits, which would be 2.31. Alternatively, you can also put your answer in fraction form, and I'll show you how to do that on the calculator. So you click your math button, and see how the first option says frac? So we're going to use that as our function now. So I'm just going to hit enter. And see how it says ANS? That means answer, so your previous answer converted into a fraction. So we'll hit enter one more time. And it tells us that this fraction is 30 over 13. So if I enter 30 over 13 for this problem, I will also get the answer marked correct. Okay, we're going to go to part B now, which is this expression. We have a number being added to a number times a fraction. So again, we want to make sure that we type this into the calculator correctly so that all of the order of operations are done in the right order. So we're going to type in 112.6 plus, and by the way, your calculator does know that multiplication comes before addition. Multiplication and or division comes before addition, so it will do order of operations right now as I hit the times key. So I've got 112.6 plus 1.96 times, and then we're going to type in the fraction, 20.6, and then we're going to hit the divide key, and then the square root of 51. So I'm going to do second, and then square root, and then type in 51. And that should be everything. So the calculator knows that it should multiply 1.96 times 20.6 first. Then it knows it should divide that by the square root of 51. And then, very last, it knows that it should add the 112.6. So that is order of operations. So I'm going to hit enter. And I get this decimal, 118.2537709. And if I rounded it to three significant digits, that would just be the number 118. Now, this one will not convert to a fraction, but we can try. So we'll go math and choose that first option, fraction, hit enter, and then hit enter one more time, and it still gives us the decimal. And the reason is because the square root of 51 is not a rational number, meaning it cannot be represented with a fraction. It is a decimal that will go on forever. So this is just a rounded decimal to the 7th place, but it really goes on forever. And it cannot be represented with a fraction because it doesn't have the repeating pattern that fractions do. Okay, let's go to the last one, part C. This is the square root over two fractions being added. And inside the numerator of those fractions, we have things being squared. So let's make sure that we tell the calculator to do all of that. So we'll start with our square root feature. And then we'll start entering our first fraction. So our first fraction is 22, and then I'm going to hit this squared key, so 22 squared, and then I'm going to hit my divide key, and then 56. Then we're going to add, and then I'll type in the second fraction, 20, then hit my squared key again, and then divided by 46. Okay, so the calculator, again, it knows order of operations. It knows it should square this, and then square this, and then divide this, and then add the two results, and then take the square root of the whole thing. So I'm going to hit enter, and I get this decimal, 4.163953568. Again, you can try to convert it as a fraction, but if you see a square root in there, it probably means it will not be a fraction. So I hit enter, again, get the same decimal, and that's because the square root of this number is not rational. And there you have it. So if I were to round this to 3 significant digits, that would be 4.16. But you can type in the entire decimal for your answer and it should still mark it as correct.